Alright, today we're going to take a look at some simple probability problems. So we have two different things happening. In the first problem, we're talking about some marbles. In the second problem, we're talking about a six-sided die. So in the first one, we have 5 parts here. We're going to find different probabilities of selecting different marbles at random. So I want the probability of getting a white marble for part A. So part A, we have the probability of getting a white. So probability of getting a white marble. Okay, so I look at all the marbles. I have 8 total marbles, and we have 1 out of 8 is white. So the probability of getting a white marble is 1 out of 8. So that's the probability of getting a white one. So what's the probability of getting a black marble? So probability of the black marbles. And there are 4 total black marbles out of 8 marbles. So the probability of getting a black one is 1 out of 2, or 1/2. Part C, what's the probability of getting a striped? Well, I see 3 of those, so probability of striped equals, we have 3 out of 8. So the probability of getting a striped marble is 3 out of 8. Then we move on to not white. So there's 2 different approaches for this one. So probability of not white. So one thing you could look at is the probability of white. So let's go up here and look at our white problem. The probability of getting a white was 1 out of 8, so the probability of getting not white is whatever's left over. So it has to be 7 out of 8. The other way to approach is the same way we approached the first 3. We have 7 different marbles that are not white. 7 out of 8, the probability is 7/8. And then we move on to E, the probability of getting a black or a white. We just count them up. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 blacks, 1 white. Add them up. 4 plus 1 gives me 5. So the probability of white or black is 5 out of 8. Now moving on to the second one, we're no longer talking about marbles or colors. We're talking about a six-sided die. So we have 6 different options that go from 1 to 6. Okay, so we're going to roll a six-sided die 600 times. How many times would you expect to get a 4? So let's talk about the probability of getting a 4 first. There is 1 4 out of 6 sides. So the probability of getting a 4 is 1 out of 6. Now to figure out how many times we would get a 4 out of 600, we're going to take 1/6 times 600. 1/6 times 600 is 100. So I would expect to get a 4 about 100 times if I rolled that dice 600 times. Okay, moving on to part B, an odd number. Well, you have 1, 3, and 5. So we have 3 options out of 6, which reduces to 1/2. So about a half of the time, you're going to get an odd number. So we have 1/2 times 600. So half the time we should get an odd number, which gives me 300. So I should get an odd number about 300 times if I roll that dice 600 times.